Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. We're having a warm spell here in the middle of winter, so it's a good time to go into my front garden and prune the trees down. I use this front garden to thicken up my pre-bonsai trees in the ground. It's quite easy to develop trees in the front garden. You don't have to water them. They just need a pruning maybe once or twice a year. Today I'll be pruning my front garden trees back down to size, and we'll be checking on the Mars project in the backyard today in the bonsai zone. My outdoor greenhouse has turned into a temporary laboratory, so I'll show you what I've been working on this week. I've been brewing my iron oxide 3 in this coffee pot using electrolysis, and I showed you the first stages of boiling, and it was a nice red mixture, a nice rust color. But since then the mixture's turned quite black. I've poured it off into these pots. This is my thickest mixture. It's like a sludge. I'll show you that if I have a nail here. Yeah, it's got all kinds of sludge and crud in the bottom. There were a few nail pieces in the bottom that didn't dissolve. They just broke off right here. So I picked those out of my sludgy mixture. And the other ones are just, various. I poured off this first and then this, trying to separate, the water from the chunks of, I guess, iron oxide. So I'm hoping, you can see the iron oxide color on the pot here. So I'm hoping as this dries, it turns that nice Martian red color. If it stays black, well, I don't know. It won't look much like Mars, will it? The chickens are outside today, having a good time playing in the sunshine. The other side of the lab is dedicated to making my aluminum oxide. I've got 2 mason jars half full now with the acid and dissolved aluminum mix, so the next step will be to add the sodium bicarbonate. Adding the sodium bicarbonate or baking soda to the mix should get the aluminum oxide in a jelly-like state or almost a solid form, and the next step will be to wash it and then dry it out. Okay, we'll just add a bit of baking soda in here. And we'll add it to the mix. So here I go. I'll add a little bit to here first. A little bit to here too. Oh, that was a little too much, but let's see what's happening. Definitely reacting, it's bubbling. I think that's producing carbon dioxide. I'll just give it a stir. It's gone. I'll give this one, that one's totally dissolved now. Just made some bubbles on the surface. I'll add some more now. Some more to this one too. Yeah, you can see it's really bubbling. So no dramatic reactions, you can just see the gas bubbles coming up now. I'll give that a mix. Okay, I'll keep adding sodium bicarbonate to that, and we'll see if we can get a aluminum oxide gel out of it. I've been adding the baking soda to the mixture, and I walked away for a few minutes and I noticed the whole mixture has bubbled up almost to the top of the glass here. So yeah, I'll give it another stir. Well, it's a pretty foamy mixture in there. It's not just like a foam on top. It came down a little bit in height, but not a lot. It's definitely feeling really thick too. It almost feels like a milkshake or something in there. Very thick and foamy. I'll let that settle down before I add any more baking soda. I don't want it to like volcano out the top. The mixture has settled down. It's not foaming quite so much, so I'll add a little bit more, and then we'll go out front and start the pruning of the trees. I'm enjoying the weather outside. I was just in my plant room doing a bit of misting, and oh, it's like a hot, steamy, tropical jungle in there. It's just beautiful. My glasses just fogged up instantly when I walked in there. So I think the plants will really like this sunny day. We're getting very close to the winter solstice, December 21st, I believe, and that'll be the shortest day of the year. So after the 21st, the days will be getting longer, the sun will be getting more intense and brighter, and all will be well. I'll try putting my iron oxide solution on top of the heater in the plant room, and it'll just gently warm it and evaporate the water. And we'll see if it turns that nice red color. Most of my hardy trees are still outside here on the benches. We haven't had any really cold weather yet, so I'm keeping my eye on the temperatures. When we start to get down below -10, I'll start bringing the trees into the basement. The chickens are really enjoying being outside today. There's our rooster. He's a really nice guy. Hello, girl. Hi. How's it going? Here come the Indian runners. And here's the Silkies. Hello. That's Giselle. She's the one who makes the dinosaur noises. Sounds like a T-Rex. You are a pretty looking chicken, aren't you? Yeah, you got a fluffy hairdo. Everyone will like your hairdo, I think. There's the rooster. Hello. Yeah, hello. Aren't you a pretty rooster? This is the mama here. Right here. And these are all the babies. They're about the same size. Hey, how's it going, fella? You can see they've been digging the soil up. Chickens are good at doing that. They'll do it all day long. When my wife goes into the barn, Giselle always hops up on her shoulder. She's a very friendly chicken. Right, Giselle? Yeah. Look how colorful you are. You're colorful. Yeah. It's only 4:30 in the afternoon and it's already getting dark out. Hope you can see the moon up there. So I think I'm going to have to leave the pruning of all these trees until tomorrow. It's just getting too dark out. Well, it's the beautiful morning sky. Got a little bit of frost on the car windows. Today is not as nice as yesterday. It's a little bit windy and there's a bit of snow in the air. I'm going to start with the big maple here. That way I'll be able to get into the rest of the garden a little easier once this is pruned down. When the trees are growing in the ground, they can grow really tall in just 1 year. This maple tree, I can't even reach the top of it. You can already see next year's buds forming on the branches here. And there's kind of a waxy coating on the branches to protect them in the winter. I prune the trees now in early winter. It gives the cuts time to heal before spring, so you get less bleeding. I'll start by pruning all the branches back to the first set of buds. On this branch, my first set of buds is right here. So I'll prune above them. You've got to allow for some dieback, so maybe halfway between the two sets of buds. So right here. On this branch, I'll prune it off right here. I've got the tree pruned down to size now, so now I'll go in and select my branches that I want to remove to create a pleasing structure. Pruning a tree in the ground is a lot harder than when it's in a pot. You can't rotate the tree around. It's hard to get down to eye level. So the best you can do is like an approximate pruning. Get your major trunk lines going, and then you leave all the fine detail work for when the tree's in a pot later on. There's the trunk line of the tree. It divides from one trunk into two here. Further divides. There's a lot of dead wood in here. That needs cleaning up. Some of the branches on this tree are getting quite thick and they're getting quite long, so they need to be cut back, and I'll probably have to use a saw. Trees in the ground have a much larger root system than a tree in a pot, so if you cut off major branches, the wounds can heal over quite quickly within a year or two. Some of these big cuts, if the tree was in a pot, it might take 10-15 years for a large cut to heal. I'm walking around the tree looking at the trunk line, trying to imagine what it'll look like in a pot eventually, what could be the front of the tree. Yeah, difficult decisions. I have decided I'm going to take that main kind of trunk or branch off there and develop this kind of flowing line into an apex. So that will be removed, and I'll have to use the saw because it's quite thick. So I'll come in here and I'll try and make a fairly flush cut. I'll leave a bit of the collar around the branch so it heals over nicely. Maybe about here, I think. There we go, fairly big cut. I may have to air layer this tree in future. It has inverse taper. This large branch I removed didn't help things. It's kind of swelled up in that area. So I could see me air layering it right about here, getting this massive trunk. I'm not keen on this branch either. I may have to remove that. I want a nice flowing trunk line. This kind of comes up and this goes 90 degrees, which I don't really like. I'm sure after all this pruning, it'll explode in all kinds of new buds all over the trunk in spring. So I'll have lots of choices for future trunk lines and branches. That's for sure. I'll remove this branch next. Coming in at the angle here. There we go. So this is my major trunk line. There's a straight section here that has no taper. So I'm going to cut it in half here, right here. Like that. And then I'm going to cut this branch back too, to right here. Like that. So I'm left with a nice looking stump. I'll fly you in now so you can see what's left. Somewhere around here would be the front, I think. I have my big cuts on this side. You can see that big cut there. There's another one from previous years starting to heal over. You can see some of the other cuts from a long time ago. That will eventually heal over. I'll probably just let this stump grow next year. You know, develop all kinds of new branches on it. That tree's done. So the next tree I'm going to work on is another Manitoba maple back here. It's had some big cuts. Has lots of character to it. Just needs pruning. These Manitoba maples are also called box elder maples. They're native to Canada, and you don't see them as bonsai very often. So Should make for an interesting tree in the future. I think they have a lot of potential as a bonsai, especially for a medium or large size bonsai. Again, I'll start by cutting the tree down in height, keeping a couple of new buds on each branch. So that's got the height down now. A lot of dead branches in here that can be cleaned out. The tree behind it here is the one I ground layered. So we'll have a look at the roots on that one. You can see it didn't grow very vigorously this year. That's maybe because it's relying on the new roots. I think the trunk on this tree is developing nicely. It has lots of character. Definitely won't be your typical maple tree. It'll look like an old ancient maple, one that's barely alive. So I like everything on it, the structure and everything. Some of these branches are getting a little, long without taper and movement. So I'm going to saw these back, but keeping the basic structure intact. So here I go. I'll start with this one, take it back down to here. It's hard to get in here with the saw, but maybe I'll try the pruners on it. Yeah, they're working. There we go. Just taking everything back. Dead wood here. Get that cleaned out. I'll have to reduce this one too. I think I can get in there with the saw now. Yeah, like that. Dead branches here. I think I'll take this one back too. There's a set of buds down here. This one too. And I think that one's cleaned up. Has a fairly nice trunk from this side over here. I'll give you a view of that. This side of the tree definitely has the character. All the cuts and healed wounds and that. Over on the other side, you can see the trunk is fairly normal looking. Got the start of a good maple tree structure there. The next maple I'll be working on is this one back here, and this is the one I ground layered. So I can see some of the new roots there. I had no luck ground layering it for quite a few years, but I think now it's finally starting to root and gain a bit of strength. Yeah, so, not a lot of vigor in the top of the tree. There's a lot of branches that died back, but there is some live branches like this one here. A lot of this is dead wood or very, very weak. Definitely not the strongest tree in the world. You'll have to, build up these roots more and get more vigor. So, I'll just prune back it roughly to shape and just leave it alone for another year. So here I go with the pruning. I'll just prune everything back, a little more compact. I don't know if this is alive or dead, but we'll prune it back. I think it was living. I think that one might have been too, it's hard to say. And that's about all I'll do to this tree for now. We'll just let it try and recover. The next tree here is a black walnut tree. And this was the original trunk, and it must have sprouted a branch, and the branch has really gained vigor. So from here all the way up to here, I can't even reach the top of it, is just 1 year's growth. These trees will really grow quickly once they get a bit established. I've seen, trees this size turn into, giant trees in like 5 years. Ones that you need a chainsaw to cut down. So I'll definitely be pruning this back hard. I'll definitely need the saw on this tree. So I can see there's buds right here. So I'm going to prune this back right here. There we go. That is a big branch. You can actually make a form of maple syrup, which isn't maple syrup, but walnut syrup, from the sap of these trees. I never knew that until I was reading about them. I'll cut this back too. This is the main trunk, and you can see right here there's a bud formed there. So I can cut it just at this level. I'll take it off right here. There we go. There's a good stick there. Make a good stick for sword fighting or something, or walking stick or something. So I'll cut these other branches back too. And that tree is pruned back to size. It's got a nice base on it. Very interesting too. Let's go in and have a look at it. So you can see the two trunks kind of twist around each other. There's a tree in our backyard, a walnut tree, that does a similar thing. I'll show you that. So here's a walnut tree in our backyard. There's the base. You can see multiple trunks coming from the one root base. So if we go up, you can see how the two trunks kind of twist around each other and go up into the sky. You can see because this walnut tree was growing so tall, it was shading out my spruce trees here. And I can also see there's a bird's nest in my spruce. I guess that makes this a bird's nest spruce. I also, in the corner over here, there's a rabbit den. The rabbit, see all these sticks piled in the corner? I thought my wife was doing that, and I thought, why would she be neatly arranging sticks in the corner like that? I thought, I don't know, thought it was really strange. And then I noticed there was a rabbit living in it. And my wife said, why do you pile those sticks in the corner like that? I said, I'm not doing it. It must be the rabbit. And it is, it's the rabbit. They arranged the sticks sort of like a little shelter. And then inside all these leaves and sticks, they have their nest of babies. And I've seen several little babies hopping out of this corner. So I just leave it there. I don't mind having rabbits in this front garden. So there's one more tree I want to prune today, and that's my ash tree here. This is it right here. So you can see it has a nice upright structure. All I want to do is kind of prune the canopy down, give it a haircut, and that's about it for today. A few suckers down here I'll prune back also. Uh-oh, the zombie apocalypse. It started. Run. I think that looks pretty good there. I'll finish pruning up the rest of the trees and I'll show you the result in another video. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for watching today in the Bonsai Zone.